So what is going on, guys? I am Amazing. Welcome back to what is possibly the last video on Vanguard Zombies because, well, the game is over. That's it. We've had DLC for the final map. There is no more content coming out for this game. We've had all of the DLC now. We are just a couple of months away from the next Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Considering that Treyarch's next game isn't coming out until 2023, we know they are currently hard at work on that. So that, along with other things, we know for sure that we're not going to be getting any more updates, or big updates I should say, for Vanguard Zombies. No more maps. We might get a couple of patches and bug fixes for the final map, but really, that's it. Vanguard Zombies has finished. And so what I wanted to do today, as I've done with every map that we've had so far, is just do a review going through the last map, the Archon or Terra Maledicta V2, and finding out, was this new map worth it? So first things first, I kind of feel bad because I just lied to you guys. This isn't a new map. All it is a new Easter egg. The map is 100% exactly the same, besides from one minor detail, one minor change that Treyarch have made, and that is to turn the whole map green. There is a green tint, filter, whatever you want to call it, which is the only difference as far as I could tell between this and DLC 2 Terra Maledicta. It is the exact same map, so the only new thing that we actually have for DLC 4, which sounds crazy when you think about it because this is the end of Vanguard Zombies, it was supposed to be the grand finale, we don't even have a new map. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. This is going to be a little bit different than usual because whereas there's normally a lot of things to talk about when a DLC drops, the aesthetics of a map, how it plays out, whether it is good or not, well, I've already done all of that when I spoke about Terra Maledicta a few months ago. So as far as the actual map goes, the only difference is the green tint to it. I suppose for that I could say, why? You're probably going to notice throughout this video I'm trying to stay very calm just because I feel I've been very angry throughout this whole game's life cycle. We're here now. It's over. There's no need to get frustrated anymore because we don't have to put up with any more of this, but it's extremely difficult because it just leaves me wondering, why have Treyarch added a horrible looking green tint to this map? As far as I can tell, I haven't been 100% up to date with the storyline in Vanguard Zombies, especially the Archon. I haven't gone through all of the radios just yet, but whether there is or isn't a storyline reason as to why there's a green tint on this map, either way, gameplay wise, it's awful. What I believe's happened is Treyarch realised that they had to change something so that they could actually come out and say they've done something different to this map compared to Terra Maledicta. It's not a complete copy and paste. So all I can think of is one of the developers must have gone, you know what a good change would be? Let's add a green filter. And what makes this even funnier is in the Intel blog, they did bring this up almost. They said, this time around for the Archon, the Sands of Egypt have been upgraded with the full suit of round-based zombies mechanics, an updated visual style, new dark ether intel, and a slew of new secrets to uncover. So they said that the Archons get an updated new visual style compared to Terra Maledicta, and well, considering the only difference is this green filter, that must have been what they were talking about. This is an updated visual style. Yeah, just off. From a gameplay perspective, it isn't nice to look at. It's not as clean as the original version. Surely red would have made more sense because of the dark ether. Why green? I have no idea. Why the filter at all? I don't know. I honestly believe it's just because Treyarch thought they had to change something and adding a filter was the easiest thing to do instead of adding a new area or new assets to the map. Other than that though, it is the exact same. And this is what I mentioned in my video the other day. If you don't do Easter eggs, if you're the type of player that just likes to get in and play a game of zombies, or if you do Easter eggs but you don't like to repeat them over and over again, you just like to do them once like I do and then that's it, you just play them out regularly, well, unfortunately I have to say there is nothing for you. There is no new map. Actually, the original version is better than this because of the green filter. So if you don't do Easter eggs, well, you're screwed because that's what this update is. It's an Easter egg. And so, well, I suppose we should get into that since that's all it is. Now, as far as the Easter egg goes, I don't think it's the worst. I've definitely seen worse in Vanguard Zombies. Terra Maledicta's original Easter egg was awful. Duran Fang, I would not even class that as an Easter egg. Those two are the worst we've ever gotten. How does it compare to Shino Numa? If we're just talking about the steps and not the boss fight, because it's clear that the boss fight on the Archon is a lot better than Shino Numa's. But if we just talk about the steps, well, there are 3 different ones you need to do before you get to the boss fight. It's a pretty simple Easter egg. I would say even if you're a new Zombies player, you can do this. The boss fight itself is pretty easy as well. Now, the memory segment, that's what I'm going to call it, absolutely sucks. I think whenever you introduce a memory aspect into Zombies, into an Easter egg, I'm always going to pull out my phone and record the screen because I've got the memory of a goldfish. Basically, all you've got to do for this step is remember a bunch of symbols that appear and then stand on them. Unfortunately, because there's a lot going on, I forgot what symbols I was shown, meaning I failed and then had to skip the round. So I just ended up whipping out my phone, recording what I saw, and then did it. I think whenever you have to do that in game, that just shows that it is bad design. Maybe if you have a good memory, then the step isn't too bad. But yeah, for me, this segment absolutely sucks. For the second part, basically you have to collect souls instead of the crystals. Honestly, this one's okay. It's a bit of a challenge, although to be fair, we've done similar stuff to this in the original Shino Numa and Terra Maledicta and Duran Fang, where we've collected souls instead of these crystals before. And that's what all of these steps as a part of the Easter egg really are. They're just taken from previous Vanguard maps and then added into this one in a slightly different way. But that step's not too bad. And then the third step is where you have to use the shield and fill up the fountain. Again, this one isn't too bad. Out of the 3 major steps that you have to do before you get to the boss fight, the memory segment sucks, but the other 2 aren't bad. They're not exactly fun either. Come to think of it, can we really describe Zombies Easter eggs as fun? Most of the time they are a chore, so maybe I'm just not remembering Zombies Easter eggs as I should, just because I haven't done all the ones in such a long time. But these steps compared to some of the Cold War Easter eggs are nowhere near as fun. I can think of some good steps that we had in Mao the Totem, for example. That map had some unique Easter egg steps, which again, the Archon doesn't. What we have here is just a bunch of recycled things from Terra, Duran Fang and Shino Numa, just slightly changed. Whereas what we've had in previous Zombies games were completely new steps. So yeah, although quite tedious, getting to the boss fight is relatively easy. When you're here, we come face to face with Cortifex. In order to defeat him, he has 3 stages. The first stage takes about 15 minutes to complete. There's nothing tricky here, nothing difficult. It doesn't take a long time to do because it's hard. It takes a long time to do because taking health off this guy is very, very slow. Now, I was using the shotgun. I have also seen other people do it. I've seen people use the ray gun, the bar. As far as I could tell, any gun that you use really, it just takes a very long time to take health off Cortifex, so it's actually not difficult, and that goes for any step, stage 1, 2 or 3, but for stage 1 especially, I got to a point after about 5 minutes of shooting the same spot in his head, doing the same thing, killing the zombies that he spawns, avoiding the objects that he throws at you, and then when you get time, shoot at his head. Just because it takes so long, it's such a drag that eventually I was like, when are we moving on to the next step? Yes, you don't want boss fights to be over quickly, but you don't want them to be over quickly because they're difficult. Stage 1 isn't difficult, it's a drag. But once you do shoot him for 15 or 20 minutes, you then move on to the second section. This one, honestly, once you know what you're doing, is easy. You find these red crystals on the ground, you've got to throw them into these tentacles, charge them up, throw them at the floating rocks in the sky, which then breaks Cortifex's shield, and again, you've just got to shoot him and take his health. This section was a little bit quicker because the health that you've got to get off him is lower, and then once you've done that, you move on to the final stage, which is pretty much like the second stage. In fact, it's exactly the same. The only real difference I noticed is that in the third and final stage, he can heal himself. Oh, and he also spawns in Strumkriegers. I've said thousands of times these are one of the worst enemies in Zombies. I have got a complaint. Troyok, what the went on here? I got insta-downed. I have absolutely no idea what did that to me. I can only think it must have been one of the things that the Archon shot at me or Cortifex shot at me. So there was absolutely nothing I could do. I just got insta-downed on the final stage of the boss fight. Did I then redo it? No. Why, you may ask? Because I already knew what the ending was, and I thought, in no way is this ending, which, okay, you know what, I think Milo uploaded it. Yeah, if you think I'm redoing this boss fight just to get that ending cutscene, sorry, it's not a cutscene. If you think I'm redoing all of that just to get a calling card on a game that I couldn't give two shits about, no. There is no cutscene, there is no or little to no dialogue after you defeat Cortifex. You kill him, he falls into the abyss of the Dark Ether, and that's it. No one says anything. This is supposed to be a prequel to Cold War Zombies. There is no connection made between the end of Vanguard Zombies and the beginning, even though, in a way, we kind of know what happens anyway. The Forsaken ends up coming to power, but I would have loved to have seen that transition take place in a cutscene. I know Treyarch was strapped for time. I wasn't even expecting a full-blown cutscene, not some CGI stuff that we've seen in the past. I wasn't even expecting BO4 level comic cutscenes. I was maybe expecting some little slideshows like we saw in Shin Onuma, but no, absolutely nothing. How awesome would it have been for us to have seen at least some, I don't know, concept art, drawings, images drawn up by artists at Treyarch? How hard would that have been to do for them to show us like 3 different drawings, say, of Cortifex being trapped in the abyss and then being devoured by the Forsaken? How hard would it have been to create 3 concept drawings and just add that in right at the end? That wouldn't have taken up much or any budget and wouldn't have been difficult to add into the game. It's 3 JPEG images in a slideshow. That was the least I was expecting, so to have no conclusion, because another thing that happened as a part of this Easter egg was Kraft ended up killing Von List, which we didn't see happen. It was just through audio, which was very underwhelming in itself, but Kraft survived, and nowhere in Cold War do we hear of Dr. Kraft. So what happened with him between Vanguard and Cold War? What happened with all of our other characters between Vanguard and Cold War that we don't hear of? There is a big connection between these 2 stories that aren't made, considering this is a prequel to D Machine, so there are story links that Treyarch just didn't bother explaining. This is DLC 4, the end of Vanguard Zombies, and to not even have a cutscene is so disappointing. So considering I already knew the ending anyway, if you think I'm gonna do that again, I'm not touching this game now for a very, very long time. Maybe never. I'll probably just record some gameplay over the next few days in case I ever need it for context in videos, and then not touch this again. It's not, I don't care about calling cards, it's not worth my time. And yeah, that's it. The Easter egg in itself, if I had to rate it, is it the best one in Vanguard? Probably. I think just because of the boss fight itself, this is better than Shin Onuma's Easter egg, and obviously it's better than Terramel Addictus and Duran Fang's. So this is the best Easter egg in Vanguard. But if we just quickly go back to what Treyarch said about this map in their description, the excuse they gave as to why they didn't bother making any new content, such as a map or new covenants, new perks and stuff like that for DLC 4, and instead just decided to focus on a main quest. What they said was, Cortifex's last stand at the end of the main quest is unquestionably the crown jewel of the Archon. Rather than devoting valuable development time to additional features for more covenants, the team placed a priority on creating a truly memorable boss fight on a scale rarely seen in Zombies. We think you'll agree if you can survive the trials. Apparently, this boss fight is on a scale that we've rarely seen in Zombies. As far as I can remember, we saw something very similar to this on a scale this big, if not bigger, in my opinion, only on the previous game not too long ago, Cold War. I don't think this boss fight's any better than the Forsaken. You could say that boss fight's better because there's a lot more variety to it. Is this boss fight any better than Mao the Totens and Valerie or Valkyrie, whatever her name was? I don't think the steps are. He obviously looks a lot cooler, but as far as the actual mechanics, I don't think so. Is it better than D Machines? Yes. Is it better than Firebase Seas? Yes. Is this Easter egg better or on a different scale to Easter eggs that we saw in BO4? On 9 we had the elephants, the Chaos maps, Ancient Evil, we had, what was it, Pegasus, and I think the other one was Hercules, I can't quite remember. There are so many Easter eggs that are a lot better than this, so for Treyarch to come out before the maps come out and say the reason why we have nothing new for DLC 4 is because they wanted to put all their time and effort on a main Easter egg and create something truly memorable that we've rarely seen in Zombies. You're telling me that this is one of the best fights ever? You're telling me that we haven't seen stuff on the same level or better than this before? I'm not saying it's bad, I actually think overall it's okay as an Easter egg. The steps aren't brilliant, they're pretty boring, but the boss fight's okay. I don't think it's bad, I don't think it's amazing, but because this is the only thing we've got, it then puts a ton of pressure on it, and it just doesn't live up to what Treyarch said we would get, and it just doesn't live up to what we should be getting, especially for a DLC 4 map. And the question this actually left me with was, why does Vanguard Zombies even exist? Not only does this whole thing come across as lazy, which I don't like to use those words because I know some people will say Treyarch are lazy, some people won't. At the end of the day, they did have a small dev team, they didn't have much time to work on it. That doesn't change the fact that it's total shit. Yeah, the only good thing I can take away from this past day or so is I'm honestly glad that it's over. I love zombies. I've been playing it since Black Ops 1 was when I first got into it. Since BO1 came out with the World at War maps as well, there was no need for me to really get introduced to zombies in World at War. I would have been quite young then, but that was 2010 anyway. But I've been with this series for such a long time, and to see it get to this stage after some of the great games that we've had, it went on such an upwards trajectory for such a long time, and it's also been on a downward spiral for a long time now. To see it reach this point, which right now is the lowest ever since this series started, it's just sad. I don't really know what else to say. But there are still plenty of videos I want to make, so stay tuned on the channel, and well, there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I'd be interested to see what you guys think. Drop a like rating if you've enjoyed. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.